Thank you. Welcome to this public meeting of the Princeton Board of Education. The board is an elected, unpaid group of 10 citizens who set policy and make decisions on behalf of all residents. We always are pleased when members of the public attend our meetings. The board and the district operate under the rules of the New Jersey Department of Education. Law limits the discussion of personnel and other matters. We reserve the right to go into closed session at any time. Thank you for attending. We hope our meetings are useful ways you find to communicate with us. Okay.
There we go.
And that was a test, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
That's great.
What did I miss?
Adequate notice was given.
Adequate notice was given for this meeting.
No, that's my part.
That's his part. All right.
As required under the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046, et sequentia, adequate notice was given for calling this meeting. It was authorized by the Board of Education and forwarded to the municipal clerk, Princeton Packet, and the Trenton Times on January 6, 2024. It was distributed to the schools and others on the standard distribution list. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. Board Policy 168. Recording devices requires that we inform those attending this in-person meeting that the proceedings are being recorded. This meeting is also being live streamed. The representative of the sending district is authorized to vote on such matters that affect sending district students or affect the governance of the Princeton Public Schools as more specifically designated in NJSA 18A 38.1. Sending district votes pertaining to personnel actions refer to high school, central admin, and district-wide staff only. Votes otherwise are considered abstentions. In the event that the statute is amended, the law shall take precedence over this bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Daphne Kendall,
Here.
Betsy Baglio,
Here.
Beth Barron,
Here.
Adam Bierman, here, Mara Franceschi,
Here.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Here.
Susan Cantor,
Here.
Brian McDonald,
Here.
Rob Christopher.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Can I get a motion, please, for the adoption of the minutes for April 30th, 2024? Brian, second. Rob?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman, yes, Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes for May 7th, 2024? Rob, second. Brian, is anyone else here tonight? Okay.
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman, yes, Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. All right, welcome, everyone. We open this meeting with 17 days left of school, starting from tomorrow. Our transportation director told me they're they all count, even if they're half days. So we have a very full meeting tonight, so we'll get started. The first item on the agenda is the appointment of Christopher Sheridan as principal at Johnson Park. Dr. Foster, did you have anything you wanted to say?
First, we had a very robust process of interviewing for JP. And again, I am going to say we all love Angela, and Angela is absolutely hard to replace. But we are really excited to have Chris join our leadership team. His passion and student-centered vision, I think, will carry the legacy of Angela and continue in the future. So we're really thrilled to have you join Princeton Public Schools. So welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Can I get a motion, please? Beth, second. Mara?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Bagwell,
Yes.
Beth Baron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman. Yes. Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sheridan, welcome to the district. Please.
Hello, board. I'm trying not to remember all the words. I'm just trying to be as natural as I can, but I may pale in comparison to Ms. Kendall's memory of the board opening. But good evening. So as I introduce myself here as the new principal of Johnson Park School, please allow me to express my gratitude to the Board of Education and for this opportunity to serve the students, the staff, the families, and the community of JPS. Thank you to the members of the board, Dr. Foster, Mrs. Gold, Dr. Tu, Dr. Sinso-Stentz, for your trust in my leadership capabilities. To continue the path of leadership Dr. Sinso-Stentz has forged will be both exciting and rewarding, and I look forward to being a steward of this robust learning community, of which she is gracefully led by working collaboratively with the staff, families, community, and of course, the students of JPS. I promise to the board, to the students, the families and staff members of JPS to serve you proudly by putting the betterment of students at the forefront of my leadership by focusing on their academic, their social, and emotional growth. And since I'm mentioning a promise, I thought it might be a good time to ask for some audience participation, maybe from the JPS students that are here, because I know there's a pledge taken every day. So if you can help me with it, and then maybe I can work to get a little bit better at it as well. So I promise to be responsible, respectful, safe, kind, and successful. So
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank
So
you.
thank you once again for allowing me to serve for Princeton Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Sheridan. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on now, we have the appointment of Erica Marata as assistant principal at Princeton High School. Can I get a motion, please? Susan, second. Eleanor. Dr. Foster, did you have something you wanted to say?
Of course. So currently, Ms. Murata is serving as the computer science teacher at the high school. So we will be searching for that, but are thrilled to have her join the administrative team at Princeton High School. She's already serving in many leadership capacities, including, I believe she's the advisor for the junior class this year and served on the master scheduling committee as well. So I know that we're excited to have her join that team. And of course, we'll be posting for a computer science teacher at the high school.
Okay, Mr. Bolden.
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Bagwell,
Yes.
Beth Baron,
Yes.
Adam Bierman. Yes. Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Bolden. And Dr. Foster and Ms. Burge, I believe, is here. I just want to thank you. The board always appreciates when we promote from within, so we appreciate that. And we wish Ms. Murata the best of luck in her new position. All right, now moving on to the funnest part of the evening. So back in the fall, Dr. Tu, so I'll back up. Portrait of Graduate is part of our strategic plan. Dr. Tu had a contest that she came up with, and so I'll let you explain it.
So as part of our strategic plan, we have 6 portrait of a graduate skills that we want all of our learners to embody when they leave PHS. And some of our students are only with us for a few years, and some of them are with us from pre-K through 12. But at all stages, we should be focusing on health and wellness, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, innovation, and the like. And so we really wanted this to live with our students. And so it didn't just have to stay with the adults. We wanted kids to have a visual representation of these skills throughout their experience here at PPS. And so we had this idea. We have a Princeton Portrait of a Graduate Committee to have these posters in every instructional space, including offices across the district. And so we thought, wow, 6 schools, 6 skills. Let's have a contest, right? And our arts program is renowned. And we thought we wanted our students to be represented. So first of all, I want to thank our students for participating. If you're here in person tonight, you'll see in the hallway some of the runners up. The committee had it was probably one of the most fun meetings I've ever been to, of looking at student art and just kind of saying, look at these great representations. And so that committee picked our winners tonight. I want to thank our staff for providing time for students to think about what does a logo mean and what does it represent? Because we had a lot of wonderful submissions, but they weren't necessarily a logo, right? And so we wanted branding for each one of these skills. And I want to thank families for participating and, having this an assignment at home. Some students submitted 6 submissions, 1 for each skill. And I want to thank our PTOs who graciously each donated $25 gift cards to their building or school winner. So that was a lovely partnership with the PTO. So with that, our winners are here tonight.
All right.
Hold on one second though. Hold on.
No, don't go.
I won't say the winners yet.
Okay.
But
Why don't we do the picture as we call the person up?
Oh.
So we could start with health, wellness.
I love it.
We don't plan this ahead of time. It's
Yeah,
just-
obviously.
I know.
Yeah, we're no owl.
I mean, it's not like we don't talk. We just don't practice. All right.
But I wanted to say that these
Yeah.
will be made over the summer. And so the student winners will also receive a copy once they are produced. And we are in talks to also do circular laptop stickers and branding in that way.
In
So
talks.
that we're in talks to figure out what that design actually looks like. But this is the image and the poster that will be hanging in all of our spaces with the student artwork. So I will now leave it to Miss Kendall.
All right. So we're going to call up the student, and then if the PTO representative is here, they'll join in, but otherwise, please come up and get your gift from Dr. Tu. So I'm just going to go in order of the pictures. So for health and wellness advocate, representing Princeton Middle School, Maya Rogart. You want to get a picture of everyone? Just hang up there. Next up is a critical thinker, and that's from Community Park, 5th grader Chili Roser. The next one is collaborative communicator, and that's Jessica Liu, a 2nd grader from Littlebrook. The next one is informed and involved global citizen, and that's from Princeton High School, and that's Jay Lee, Reina Varela. She's a 9th grader. The next one, creative innovator, and that's from Johnson Park, Myra, Aiello, a 4th grader. Mira, I'm so sorry, Mira. And then finally, we have the curious learner, and that is Rosemary Lindyke. Did I say that right? No, I did not say it right. How do you say your last name? Yes. I don't want to do any more. And you are in 5th grade. Can we get a round of applause for them?
The tower photographer, guys, if you don't mind, and then I know there's some families in the room. If you can come up and you want to take a picture a little bit closer, you're more than welcome to. So. I'm just gonna take one more. One, two. Congratulations, everyone.
And I did just want to say, you students are all very, very talented. And it's really interesting to see how you put pictures to our words. So thank you very much. I can't wait to see the stickers. I hope the negotiations go well.
More the design process.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, and thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you to the PTOs for their gift card donations. We really appreciate it. Moving on now to Dr. Foster.
Good evening, everyone. Of course, we are a teaching and learning organization, but tonight I want to highlight two pieces of good news on the business side of our organization. And even though it is the business side, it truly impacts our learning organization. So this past week, Matt Bolden organized a group of stakeholders to come together to review proposals for a new food service vendor for the district for the upcoming year. So I was just going to ask Matt to share the good news, and it does impact student and learning because of the nutrition that it'll provide to fuel the learning that takes place.
Thanks, Dr. Foster. It's been a couple years now. We spent a lot of time in committee. So one of the things we're obligated to do is to go out to each school, and we've gone out to each school numerous times over the last 2 years to have youth advisory committees where we focus on students first and foremost. We have parents, teachers, nurse administrators at the schools, our food service provider, and we talk about things we'd like to see. Things they like, things they want to see improved, et cetera, et cetera. So we really focused on those, on that feedback from our stakeholders over the last couple of years. We are, thankful for 10 years of service from our current and outgoing provider, but we have chosen a new provider, Pomptonian. They do have a large, they're a family-owned company. They have a large stake in New Jersey. A lot of districts that are like us, they are focused on improvement and are going to work and partner with us to continue on making progress on providing the best, the highest quality, most nutritious breakfast and lunches that we can. We're really excited. Our Cranberry uses Pomptonian as well as Hopewell, so two neighbors real close by, and a lot of other very high achieving districts. So we're really excited. It's a long process, and I'm thankful to the committee that took time to review. Some of them are like 370 pages of mission. We don't actually do a tasting because it's a little bit of a dog and pony show where they don't exactly provide the meals that they would for the school. So it becomes, not really representative, but it was a lot of time and effort by a lot of people put in. And so we're hopeful that we'll continue to improve the quality of our food that we serve in district.
Thank you. And just one more item to pay attention to on the agenda. As we continue to look for efficiencies in the budget, we're happy to approve the continuation of shared service agreement with Montgomery Township for bus maintenance. These shared services allow us to reduce costs and transportation and maybe apply those costs directly to our students. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Thank you, Dr. Foster. Anything else?
Okay. And now we're moving on to our student board members report. Did you hear 17 more days of school? Did you know that?
Yeah.
You did.
We're happy to report that our peers seem to know that as well.
Okay.
So if you're wondering how the school community is feeling.
Okay. Well, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. We're really excited to be here.
Indeed. As always, the first part of our report is concerned with current goings-on at PHS. So this last month, nothing has loomed larger at the school than AP exams. PHS administered 1,660 of them, which is higher than average when compared to the last 5 years.
Generally, Alex and I tend to agree to think that more people taking AP exams is a good thing. But several statistics also indicate that some demographics are underrepresented when it comes to taking these courses or signing up for AP exams. And so anything the school district can do to encourage more kids to challenge themselves in that way is a good and beneficial thing.
Yeah, and the same thing is true, of course, for other advanced course offerings at PHS, whether that be new partnerships with TCNJ or Princeton University that provide courses which enable students to push both their academic horizons and to gain college credit. So again, the more students that are able to access these resources and the more students that are encouraged to access these resources, the better.
Other notable occurrences at PHS this month include the 2024 Congressional Art Competition, which took place in Trenton and featured 6 PHS students, and the PHS Spectacle Theater's production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's move on to some feedback we've heard from our fellow students as the year approaches its end. Because summer break seems so near, many students are facing small seasonal lapses in their executive function. One thing many of my peers have mentioned is that some students, rather than giving their schoolwork the attention it deserves, are turning to external aids such as ChatGPT. And this is something that's not necessarily constrained to just, this several week period right now.
Because these technologies are so new, many students are confused about what the district's guidelines on them might be. Teachers often have time detecting when one of the programs are being used, and some classes embrace the technology while others eschew it or ban it entirely.
Yeah. So we think it might be helpful to spend more time discussing clear school-wide policies for the use of AI in the classroom with students, not just with teachers, and in the process to encourage teachers to consider options other than an all-out ban. Although it's hard to imagine ChatGPT belonging in an AP English language classroom where, the test is about writing your own essays on paper, there are plenty of interdisciplinary uses for the technology that can get PHS students excited about their schoolwork. For example, the PHS research team used AI as part of their project to protect Indigenous languages, for which they ended up winning this year's Samsung Solve for Tomorrow competition. So we imagine other scenarios like these could pop up around the school.
On a slightly different note, Alex and I want to take a second to talk about climate initiatives at PHS. Many classes allow their students to embark on independent projects during the post-AP weeks, and we've noticed that many of those students choose to work on furthering environmentally friendly initiatives.
Yeah, and the reason we've noticed this is that so many students have asked us what the district's policies surrounding climate change mitigation are. And in response, Oliver and I have done our best to paraphrase some of the things we've heard at these meetings, but we'd love, a clear answer maybe from you all now that we can share with our fellow students.
Definitely. It seems as though there's strong support for more extensive climate solutions at PHS going forward. For example, one common refrain is stopping the use of disposable plastic utensils in our cafeteria or trying to cut down on the paper use in classrooms.
Yeah. And we'd also like to point out that students are especially interested in green initiatives as they intersect with the planned construction around the district for the next couple of years. Most students would probably support taking extra measures to ensure that the construction is setting up the district for an environmentally sustainable future, whether that involves solar panels or updated energy grids, something along those lines. But of course, Oliver and I understand that students are not the ones paying taxes, so those extra expenses are a little complicated.
That'll conclude our board report for this month. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So we are committed to the environment, and as you know, because you read the board agendas with great attention, we do apply for grants as they come up, and so we have a few grants outstanding for buses. We won a grant for the bus?
So not for the bus, but we. Dr. BJ and Valerie Ulrich and Amy Nashko did an early childhood climate sustainability grant through the state and were awarded $31,000. And the state loved it so much they gave us an extra $48,000. I think she said. This is in our board update this week because what they're going to do is they're going to do container gardens throughout the community and at where all the early childhood is, at the private providers and at our schools. And our research team at the high school, our students are going to mentor our younger students in the initiative. So I think that's why the state liked it so much, because it's such a great idea. So it's over, I think, $76,000 total, something like that. So the board will get a little update and we're going to do a press release. So you heard it here first. But yes, there are wonderful initiatives happening.
And then since you're already talking, AI, Dr.
Yes.
two steps ahead.
So we are having an AI summit this summer with staff and board because it's about policy and what is the district policy on AI, as you guys have shared, as well as professional development planning for staff. Talking with Mr. Lewandowski, he was really passionate about AI and AI learning. Also having some student representatives. So if you guys know of any names, please feel free to send them to me as well, because I think it is important to have a few high school voices, because I was just talking with our supervisor of humanities today, and we don't want to completely ban it because that's not reality. We know that jobs and colleges are going to be leveraging these tools. And there's a lot of things like teachers could say, you can use it for brainstorming, but you can't use it for your first draft, or you could use it all the way up until this part of the writing process, because it is something that is just going to be part of our world. And we want to make sure that talking about Portrait of a Graduate, that we're preparing you for life after PPS. So please, if you have any names of students, let me know.
And in the meantime, we'll see you on June 11th, but enjoy your waning days as students at PHS. And I hope you get a chance to have a good time at prom and whatever else you do responsibly. We'll see you on June 11th. All right. All right. Thank you. And now we're moving to our first public comment. We had a sign up sheet. I have 3 names, and then we'll go and hear from anyone who wants to speak. Please, the first one up is Claire Brown. Please just state the street you live on, your name, the street you live on, and if you could just please keep your comments to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having me. Claire Brown, 23 Cedar Lane, Princeton. And unlike Mr. Sheridan, I'm going to read because I'm nervous. As some of you know me quite well because I have been a thorn in your side over the past year or so, Dr. Chu. It's nice to set eyes on each other since last spring, because I've been very concerned about the lens through which Jewish people are taught about in this school district. It was upsetting enough to learn last year from my then 8th grader that we are now viewed as oppressors. And I guess I was living under a rock because I didn't know that. I was apparently the last to find it out. But so it was bad enough what was going on, but imagine how we felt after 10/7 and the subsequent spike in anti-Semitism. And our children have been the subjects of anti-Semitic slurs, both online through classmates in this school district and in the school as well. And yet it feels like nothing is done to protect them. Like I keep getting told, file an HIB, but honestly, my kids don't want to file an HIB because, and I'm going off script here, because they don't feel like anyone's going to take them seriously. They're white, they're boys, they're not LGBTQ, they're not people of color or of any religion that is other than Jewish. And so they don't feel like they'll be taken seriously. So why bother? Why die on that hill? Because it takes a lot of effort. And also I would spend a lot of my time helping them file them because we hear a lot of stuff. So, it seems pointless because we're somehow no longer a protected minority. And there's, we really feel that there is a double standard now of us being the only minority that is not protected. Obviously, everyone has seen the news. I'm not going to get into that here, but what goes on in the school seems to us to be somewhat similar. Bad thing gets said. I hear about it. I'm like, guys, do you want me to write to someone? They're like, no, don't bother. Nobody cares. So we don't. And then, the last thing that I want to talk about is the walkout that happened, whatever it was, a week and a half ago, where the student, I know that there are rules about having your phone in school and taking pictures and videos. I get that. But when you have a student who videotapes kids going down the hall, banging on drums, yelling for the annihilation of our people, that feels really bad. Our children were very upset as community members. We're devastated by this. We are so disappointed that the school has not, certainly at the high school level, hasn't protected our kids enough. I get it. You have to discipline the student who took the videos for those reasons. But I really hope that there are consequences for the other students as well. And we don't need to know them. We don't need to know their names. We don't need to know the consequences. But we do very much want to feel that something has been done. It's just, it feels really bad to all of us. And I'm like, again, like I'm done with what I wrote, but I really would like it if someone could listen. And it's not just, our kids in this district. I work with students from our district who are struggling with this, students at the university who have been destroyed by what has been happening on their campus and the campuses across the country. And I feel like this school, if we are committed in this district to inclusivity. Like, please include the Jews. We're still here and we need to be protected now more than ever. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Claire. And we are listening. Curtis Deutsch.
Hello, school board. My name is Curtis Deutsch. I live on College Road, West. A call for freedom is not a call for annihilation in any way, shape, or form. Schools play a vital role, of course, in teaching facts, but also exploring humanistic values, civil rights, and civic duties, like the one that we just saw violated. Among those are core to this society are the right to free speech and assembly, including protest. Indeed, our country was founded, as the history teachers in the room will know, on protest against colonization and subjugation. The Princeton School District passed a major test last week in teaching those values by allowing a walkout without impedance. That walkout was organized to express another core humanistic value of peace and human rights, which I suspect is core to many here. There are many violations around the world of those core values, but one that stands out for the past 7 months is the one in Gaza. It's widely regarded among legal experts and scholars, including the highest court of the United Nations, as constituting a genocide. What makes it particularly relevant to your students is that it is being fully supported financially and politically by the United States government. The students in the Princeton High School have joined a historic tradition in the United States of protesting against injustice wherever they see it, and that includes in the Middle East. They're also joining a mass movement across this country of young people who have seen the daily streaming of acts of war crimes and genocide on their phones. Now, you will undoubtedly hear, and you probably already have, many people say that what animates these protests demanding freedom for people around the world, in particular in Palestine, is instead a different value of anti-Semitism. In fact, the insistence on peace and justice, long denied to the Palestinian people, are the best antidote to hatred and to violence. As a faculty member at Princeton who saw the Princeton High School students arrive with their signs and their chants, I can attest to the fact that what they are calling for is not at all annihilation. It is for the freedom of the Palestinian people to live throughout Palestine without checkpoints, without being treated as second-class citizens, and without experiencing the fear and terror of United States bombs falling on their heads day after day after day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Kim Marks.
Could I ask for just 60 seconds to just,
Yeah, and I just want to say, we ask that audience members refrain from referring to audience members or react or speaking to them. And we'll give you a few more seconds, Kim. Do you want me to see if someone else wants to speak and then you can go? Is there anyone else for public comment? Mr. Alberts, why don't you come up, tell us the street you live on, and then Kim. Did you not see, oh, you missed the beginning of the meeting, but I basically cited the first 2 paragraphs by memory, so it's one of my few gifts. So,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening. I have questions, not a comment. First question, will the board do anything to ensure that a walkout like that on May 9th will happen again or won't happen again? That's my first question. I'd like to know, and I'd like to know as soon as possible, please. I mean, the response I got from someone on this board was vague. The other question, does the board plan on contracting high tops again in the coming year? Does it?
Any easy questions?
No, that's it.
Okay. So both of those questions will be answered. This is not the first walkout that occurred. And so I don't see the board stopping walkouts. I think the board could consider some parameters. This was during AP testing, but it's something the policy committee would have to consider. The second question will be answered at the next board meeting.
Are walkouts allowed?
Yes.
They are. Okay, thank you.
Kim, are you ready? Or do you need another minute? Julia will go if you want. Okay.
So first, I wanted to thank.
Don't forget your name and.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Julia Rothenberg, and I live on Princeton Kingston Road. I want to thank everybody for all the work that you do. Dr. Forster, Dr. Tu, Daphne, the board members, Ms. Burge. We have met multiple times. You do listen and you do care. That's not questionable here. What I wanted to bring a slightly different perspective from what's been talked about so far. I wanted to make it sound funny, but it's not. So I'll just read it. As far as Jews are concerned, we'll be fine. We've been going through this a couple of times a century for the past 5,000 years. So we've survived before, we'll survive again. Throughout the history, somebody's trying to exterminate us and erase Israel, and well, we always persevere and we come out stronger. I am worried about students who participated in the walkout, and I want to make it clear that free speech is sacred to me, and I do support peaceful walkouts. But what happened was not a peaceful walkout. It was hate speech. And when the kids attended the encampment, they were radicalized. They were indoctrinated. And what essentially happened, you guys basically let toddlers run with a knife instead of educating them. So what we are asking you to counter the propaganda, the hate that they're hearing, things that happened at the encampment I've shared privately with some of you, and I just don't want to freak everybody out. But we need counter education so kids can think critically, they can think for themselves, they can learn history, they can think critically and go based on facts, not the one-sided indoctrination that they hear from hateful sources. Thank you.
Thank you. So when you come up and speak, you can, this is just to the audience. Thank you, Julia. When you come up and speak, you can say whatever you want for 3 minutes. We're a public entity, and, we do celebrate free speech. I just want to remind everyone that this is a Board of Education. Our responsibility is to educate children that attend our schools. So to the extent I can't tell you what to comment on, but we're responsible. The board is responsible for educating about 4,000 children. We have a budget of over $100 million, and we take that responsibility very seriously. And we have, no ability to influence anything really outside of Princeton, and even then, we don't do so well. Great. You ready, Kim?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate the indulgence. So Kim Marks on Hullfish. Do you need more than that? Is that? So good evening. It has only ever really been for me about hate. We moved to this district. My kids started in January of 2017. I have been engaged in conversations with various members of the community and the district since fall of 2017 about anti-Semitic hate in our district. I have spoken to you as a parent of a student who was the victim, of anti-Semitic bullying, as a member of the PTO, as a member of the PTOC, as a member of the Jewish Community Relations Council of the surrounding counties. I have been at your committee meetings, your individual conversations. When you were running for the board, we talked about this. Okay, so this has always been to me about hate and about combating hate, understanding the risks that the hate of anti-Semitism, allowing that in our schools, in our conversations, and in our communities, and what that poses. Now, we can pretend for a minute, if we want, that in 1967, when an Egyptian put on a keffiyeh, the Egyptian grandnephew of the man known as Hitler's Mufti decided to invent a people, that's what this is about, and that they are living under some imagined oppression in a place where Jews literally dug up the bones of the people from 2005 until the day they were dragged into Gaza on October 7th. There have not been Jews oppressing anyone in Gaza. In 1967, Israel came under control of Gaza because Egypt invaded. Up until then, Gaza had been under control of Gaza. We hear nothing about that. In the peace process, the Sinai was returned to Egypt. Israel tried to give Gaza back to Egypt, and they refused to accept it. The reason that there are checkpoints across parts of the country that border the areas where people want to come in and kill us, those exist since the Intifada. What is the Intifada, you ask? The Intifada is the call for the death of Jews. Globalize means around the world. So globalize the Intifada means kill Jews around the world. From the river to the sea might rhyme and sound cute in English. In Arabic, it is from the river to the sea. It will be Arabic, free of Jews. So for me, this has only ever been about hate. I do not want to see hate in our hallways. And I remind you again of your responsibility, as Daphne, you just called it out, to keep that hatred away from our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's remember, we have children at the table, no offense, and children are watching, so, and they're watching, and we can disagree, but let's do it civilly and have respect for each other. Who would like to speak next? Go ahead. Just say your name, the street you live on, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Sher Ali Tareen. I live on Oak Lane. I'm a professor of religion and Middle East studies, resident of Princeton. The main point I want to make is that the criticism and the condemnation of a modern nation state, to conflate that with some kind of hatred towards a religious tradition, is intellectually, historically, conceptually indefensible. The criticisms and condemnations that we've been seeing of the modern nation state of Israel, as long as that does not participate in anti-Semitic tropes, cannot be categorized as anti-Semitic, just as, and not to equate all the different contexts, just as the criticism of the violence of the modern nation state of Saudi Arabia would not be Islamophobic, and so forth. Point number one. I think it goes against the very mission of history and educational advancement to make this kind of conflation. And no serious historian or scholar of the Middle East that you can see a whole listing of in the Middle East Studies Association, MESA, would find this kind of conflation absolutely ridiculous. What I've been hearing in terms of the kind of representations of the encampment, I went to that encampment each of its 21 days. I never saw empirically or otherwise, any kind of hatred towards the religious community. And let us also remember that the faculty and the students leading the encampment, among its leaders, were Jewish faculty and students. So when we equate the condemnation of the modern nation state of Israel with anti-Semitism, we in fact are participating in anti-Semitism against those Jewish faculty and students who do criticize the modern nation state of Israel. Intifada comes from the Arabic verb nafada, which means an uprising against injustice. It does not mean killing any people. From the river to the sea means freedom for Palestinian people. Now, some people may have said this phrase with some anti-Semitic intonations. Hence, to be good educators, to speak with evidence, to speak with some kind of historical anchoring, we need to be very specific about what kinds of speech we are condemning and why. Because when we don't do that, that goes against the mission of intellectual nuance and historical understanding. So what I've been hearing is absolutely horrific, the kind of representations of these morally courageous students. I think they need to be celebrated. They should be congratulated for advancing the cause of speaking back to power. And that, in some ways, is the mission of education, speaking against injustice. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, how many people want, because when did we start this public comment? I should have, we'll go another 15 minutes. So we'll go to 8:40, and then we're going to continue on with our agenda, and there'll be another, you could just line up at the podium, and there'll be another public comment session towards the end. Okay.
Lisa Jack now for Rand Road. I think the intimidation by people here, videoing people that are talking, is really inappropriate, and it would be nice if the board would ask people to stop doing that. I don't think this is the right way for people to be able to
The
speak.
board, this is a public space. We don't have
Okay,
the
well,
ability
it's
to
a-
limit.
It's an intimidation tactic, and it's
Okay.
very obvious.
Okay.
I'm going to bring things back to the kids, because that's what I have always spoken to you about, and I agree that is what we should be here for. Outside in the bigger world, if people want to have their interpretations of things, they can. In our schools, I have repeatedly heard this district, this board talk about how a group feels about something and how that matters. And in this instance of May 9th, that has to matter. Civil rights of so many students were trumped on May 9th for the free speech rights of others. We can't choose one's rights over another's rights. There's a way to speak out and say, I want this war to end. I don't like Hamas. I don't like Netanyahu. But when you're speaking about tropes, as was recently just mentioned, the tropes of using words like genocide, apartheid, and oppressor against Jewish people have feelings for those Jewish people, many of whom were your students in the high school on May 9th. My son ran up to me and said, Mom, I walked into school and I don't know who here is for me and who is against me. Please take me home. No student should ever feel that way when they walk through the halls of their high school, but the halls were covered in flyers that screamed hate about Israel, not about a government, about a people, and those people are students in your high school. That is how the Jewish students feel it. If people want to say that's not how it's intended, intentions have consequences, and that is how the Jewish students feel it. My son was one of many students who had to leave school on May 9th. My son is one of many students who does not feel protected in Princeton High School, and we have to do better. There were a lot of failures that day. You can allow for free speech while protecting your hallways and protecting the students within your high school and protecting what kinds of free speech are allowed in terms of trumping on someone else's civil rights. That is not a free speech that has to be allowed in our schools. And somebody asked earlier, are there going to be more walkouts? I understand from the district that walkouts are allowed. You can't stop them. But a high school in Voorhees did not have this kind of walkout because they had a definition of anti-Semitism that prohibited it. And our school promised to not allow anti-Semitism, and it was allowed on May 9th. We need to do better.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello to all of you. My name is Mohammed. I am a recently graduated graduate student of Princeton University. I have been a lifelong community member of Princeton, and I have also been one of the leaders of the encampment. I come here with nothing but love and empathy for everyone. And I sincerely hope that we can leave this meeting with a greater appreciation for one another. I came to just speak upon my interactions with people at the encampment, with the high school students as well. Our life at the encampment, for those who were not there, was one of peace and communication. We had daily lectures organized. We had shared food. We shared conversations. And we shared living life together. That's all. We organized our protests in order to show solidarity with a movement that calls for the freedom of a people, not for the hatred of anyone. One of my colleagues and lifelong friends is a Holocaust survivor, and I am deeply sensitive to the elements of anti-Semitism that are very real. And I do understand that there is a lot of fear in this world, especially given the current events. But the Palestinian people are not able to even have a place to sleep at night or even a meal. And so our movement was just one to show solidarity and to show support for such people. Now, with respect to the high school students, we were approached and we helped organize this walkout. Nowhere or at no point in time was there any element of hatred that was mentioned for anyone. We just believe in the community and the good faith of all people. And we hope that you understand that we were not any form of radicalization, as some people in the audience may have claimed. Those high school students were merely interacting with Princeton professors. That's all. So I hope sincerely that coming out of this meeting, I have empathy for everyone here. And I hope that we can also come out with an increased empathy for people who cannot share the luxuries of any form of life that resembles ours. So thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you. Mohammed, what was your last name?
Bahri, B-A-H-R-I.
Thank you. Hi.
Can you hear me okay? My name is David Kahn. Princeton High School class in 1990,
And what street you live on?
23 Cedar Lane.
You don't have to give me the number, just the
Oh.
street.
Well, you know where to find me. I'm also Princeton University class of 1994. And I watched the encampment grow. I tried to interact with some of the students saying I'm an old codger now, I'm 30 years out, got white hair. And I really want to understand why you were so impassioned about the messages you're delivering. And sir, I think I saw you the other day with, is your son in the high school? And I think you're a part of the university, as you said, right? No, I will. So,
Mr. Khan, please just direct your comments to the board, please.
okay, well, I just want to call the attention that I wish that the protests were just that and peaceful. And I appreciate Mohammed's coming up here. I'm just going to say that I believe the Palestinians need a state. The killing is abhorrent. It's abominable on all sides. But what that encampment and what these kids were led into was a bastion of anti-Semitism. Because as other people have said, does anybody recall what Hamas's charter says? From the river to the sea, that is their mantra. There is no interpreting it any other way when a declared terrorist organization has that in their charter and it is spilled into Princeton High School. That is our concern, or at least one of them. I will also tell you that the Hezbollah flag, another declared terrorist organization, was flown and held. I don't know that it was flown, but it was at that encampment. So I ask you, when you have students who are instructed not to engage, I really want to talk to them. I didn't want to argue with them. I want to understand. I will tell you two things. Princeton taught me how much I didn't know, and law school taught me that there are always two or three sides, and I want to understand. That's why I appreciated what you said, Mom, and I appreciated what you said. Obviously, we disagree, but the dialectic here, the words are so important. They're so important. And I know that the board will consider this. I take it that you will look at the definitions. But again, I remind you, when from the river to the sea is said in a terrorist charter, and the rejectionism of the Israeli state is rampant, as it is in that camp, you have to look at what's being said. And I ask you to do so. Thank you all.
Thank you. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Hi, Liz Winslow, Dodds Lane. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, so I may be a little wobbly, sorry. What I wanted to do was actually not talk about so much the geopolitics, but about the immediate student safety concerns. So I thought Mohammed was a very talented speaker. He made his case well, but what he also did was provide a great confirmation that this was not an organic walkout by Princeton High School students, that it was organized by an outside party. I'd also like to point out that one of the parents who did this organizing currently has a Substack online titled Israel's Willing Executioners, where he talks about how Israelis in Petah Tikva and Ramat Gan are nothing but dishwashers and garbage collectors, but they can be gods executing people in Palestine. This is not a message of tolerance. This is not a message of unity. This is not a message of two states. There was another agenda here, and it did not involve free thought on the part of PHS students. I can very much get behind students having ideas I don't like. That's part of growing up. What I have a very hard time getting behind is a bunch of adults, which all of the students were at the encampment, coming down and encouraging other people's minor children to leave school during AP exams to advance their own political agenda. It's not acceptable, and I really hope something can be done in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Raimundo Barreto. I'm a parent and a professor also at Princeton Theological Seminary. And many of my students were in the encampment, and I had the opportunity to be there, spend a lot of time there personally. I didn't see any anti-Semitism, and that doesn't mean, and listening, I appreciate very much what the conversation tonight, because listening to how people feel matters, and I think we should be listening to one another. But I didn't see hatred. I saw concern for peace. I saw, as someone who teaches also the history of religions, I saw concerns with interfaith relations. I saw Muslims, Christians, and Jews having opportunity to worship separately, but also together, talk to one another. I saw people of no faith supporting and protecting people who were spending time worshiping. So this is not about religion. And this is not about ethnicity. This is about kids seeing what's going on. And today we have access, and they have access to news in ways that in the past many people didn't. It's impossible to ignore when we have 14,000 kids killed, when we have 35,000 people killed. It's impossible to ignore that. So what I saw, and I was there in the encampment when the high schoolers came in, I saw human sensibility. I saw compassion, I saw concern. And I think what we can do, even if there was something that shouldn't have happened, if I take what I hear here as concerns, I think the way forward is dialogue. It's conversation like this, civil conversations, opportunity to have people talking from different points of view without aggression, without intimidation, without dehumanizing one another, without ridiculing those who are speaking and expound on their point of view. So I believe that. So I have been in Princeton for a long time. I was a student here. I came back and I have been here for 10 years as a professor. I appreciate very much the environment that Princeton creates as a place of curiosity, learning, and dialogue. So I appreciate the board for allowing conversations and free speech to take place. And if there is a need for further education on these and other topics, dialogue is the future, not punishment.
Thank you very much. Even Vermont doesn't pay 35,000 anymore. No. Please.
Hi, my name is Brooke Cole, and I live on Stanworth Drive.
Hi, Brooke.
Before you begin, you'll be the last speaker. We're going to resume our business responsible for educating 4,000 children, and then we'll go back to any further public comments when we're done with our business before the meeting adjourns. Then we take our part of this. Go ahead, Brooke. Sorry about that.
I'm a parent of a second grader at JP. I just wanted to express our thanks to Dr. S. for her dedication and support for our families at Johnson Park. Through distance learning, the COVID years, and the sometimes difficult rebuilding years that have followed. She's championed social emotional learning across the curriculum. Every student matters at JP, and they know it. We see her greeting students each morning with a smile, and the same when they leave each day. She worries about them during our breaks and shares in their successes both in and out of the classroom. Johnson Park is losing an amazing principal, but we are so happy that she'll be just down the road here at Valley Road. We're also very excited to welcome Mr. Sheridan to our school. Our students are super excited and they are so ready to meet you. They've been begging me in the hallway, when are we going to meet our new principal? And they are just really excited to show you just how amazing of a family we have at JP. I wanted to thank Dr. Foster, the board, and Ms. Gold for an amazing search to find us a really good fit for a principal, and we are really thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on now. Item I, harassment, intimidation, bullying, and then we're going to the board committee reports. And we were going to start with long-term planning.
Beth said she'll share her report by
Okay,
written.
then
so she's not back.
operations with Susan.
I
Hi,
am
Susan.
doing operate. This is the operation side of the table. We met May 8th. It's a good report. You don't have to leave.
Don't take it personally.
We met May 8th at 8 a.m. We reviewed, as is our way, we opened by reviewing, finalizing the 2022 referendum projects, and then we reviewed the 2023 referendum projects, many of which will be happening this summer, and some which parts are on the approval in the agenda later tonight, including furniture for the PHS cafeteria renovation, various cameras throughout the district, and various technology upgrades that are being put into effect this summer. We also heard a discussion as the district was considering whether to go ahead with iPads or Chromebooks in the middle school. So we participated in that discussion. And to your point, one of the projects this summer is roofs, which once we finish, hopefully this summer, we can begin the task of solar in our schools. So that is something we've been working toward for several years. We then started the sustainability part of our meeting, and that included discussions of grants, and one which Dr. Chu told us about, building initiatives that our students put in, and future ideas like waste audits and energy competitions, which are taking place within our schools to help save energy. Our next meeting is July 2nd at 8 a.m. We always begin by being open to the public and hope you can join us.
Thank you. If I could just ask the members of the audience, the board sat quietly and listened to you speak, and now we're doing our board business. And I would ask if you have any conversations to please take them out in the hallway, but please respect the work that is being done here. Next up is personnel with Mara Franceschi.
Hi, the Personnel Committee met 8:30 a.m. on Thursday, May 9th. From time to time, the Personnel Committee hears residency hearings. They're hearings where it's been brought to the district's attention that certain students may not actually be residing in Princeton. We take that very seriously. The families are given an opportunity to prove their residency and appeal to remain in the district. Other things that we did at our meeting, we discussed the new communications role and our new PHS assistant principal and JP principal searches, both of whom we were excited to introduce and announce tonight. And we look forward to honoring our retirees on June 6th at 3 o'clock right here in this room. It's a lovely, I actually can't be here, but it is a lovely, lovely celebration. I will be out of town, but I encourage you to come. And our next meeting will be closed on Thursday, June 6th at 8:30 a.m. I guess I'm taking that from away.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. And again, I have to ask the audience, please be respectful of the work that's being done here. We listen to you quietly. Please don't interrupt us. Thank you. Next up is policy. Is anyone doing that?
Beth will also
Beth
circulate
will get
that.
back to us. And then, but last and not least, but the most important, the
Oh,
reason why
no.
we're all here is student achievement. with
Well, it
Betsy.
is earlier in the order tonight, so that's good. Thank you very much. We met just this past Friday at 11 a.m. on Zoom. We had 3 topics for the public agenda. Sarah Moore came to the meeting, our supervisor of elementary education, to talk about updated elementary ELA assessment practices at the elementary level that will be put in place in 24-25. We also heard about the new Bridges program, which is a pilot at the middle school for the 24-25 school year to better meet the needs of our students. And John McMichael, who's the supervisor of counseling, attended our meeting to talk about a new program for financial literacy. For any of you out there whose students have taken financial literacy online over the summer from EduSeer, we're now using Apex, and information will be going out to all families the week of May 28th. That's next week. So be on the lookout for that if your student is interested in that summer programming. We then adjourn to closed session. Our next meeting is June 7th, and it's open to the public, 11 a.m. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Betsy. All right, so we're moving on now to more board work. So we have, and again, interrupt me if you need anything. K1 policies for first reading, K2 policies for second reading. Moving on to personnel, we have L1 resignations, L2 appointments, L3 personnel items, L4 curriculum and instruction, L5 student services, L6 student substitute student placements, L7 job descriptions, L8 reappointments, revisions, L9 leave of absence, L10 evaluation forms, L11 transfer reassignment, L12 press aid certification stipend, and then L13 comprehensive equity plan. We're moving on to curriculum and instruction. I just lost my place. Oh, M1 student day field trip, and then moving on to student services, special education, and 1 professional consulting services, and 2 resolution for residency appeal. Moving on to the business, 01 financial reports, 02 fire evacuation drills, 03 acceptance and award of the contract for food services to, was it Pumptonian? Is that it?
Correct.
And I just want to thank Mr. Bolden, Eleanor and Betsy and Kathy and Kim for their work on that. And I would have liked to taste test, but I will go check it out. 04 security cameras that Mrs. Canner mentioned. 05 security cameras access cabling infrastructure. Very interesting. 06 PHS cafeteria furniture that Mrs. Canner mentioned. 07 shared services agreement with Montgomery Township Board of Education, the doctor for bus maintenance that Dr. Foster mentioned. And again, if we had electric buses, Oliver and Alex, we wouldn't have to worry about that. So put in a plug for us. We have, did I miss something? No. 8 is amendment of project submissions to the NJDOE. And then 09 is an action item, NJSIG safety grant, 24 application acceptance. Can I get a motion, please? Mara, second, Betsy.
Daphne Kendall,
Abstain?
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Adam Bierman,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld. Oops. Why did Debbie
She
come
hasn't
up?
been here all meeting.
Oh, I know what I did wrong. My
Yeah.
bad. Um, Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. 010, tech consulting contract extension. 11, cooperative purchasing membership. 012, rejection of bid. 013, professional services, attorney appointment. 014, registration, travel agenda. Moving on now to our second public comment. Again, anyone can come, speak for 3 minutes. Please just state your name and the street you live on. Thank you.
My name's Dan Wynn. I live on Moore Street. Thanks for letting me talk. I think one of the things I hope you take away from tonight is that we've had a few speakers who have the university affiliation. They may have their kids in our schools as well, but there's a lot of us who live here who aren't affiliated with the university or the other private institutions. This is public school, right? You serve everyone from preschool to the time they graduate. It's not an agenda-based education. It's reading, writing, arithmetic, and developing the characters, the characteristics that you had on the board and that you celebrated earlier. And I think that one thing I learned, I hope you learned, is that there's people from the university with an agenda to bring the crises and the conflict and sometimes the hate and the anti-Jewish behavior, to bring it from the universities into the high school. And you can develop ways to stop that, and you must. So thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Kennedy. I am a student at Princeton University, and I have a few words for the board and the community today. We are now crossing 200 days of the most recent wave of genocidal violence enacted by Israel in Gaza, and yet another mass grave of at least 400 Palestinians unearthed outside of Nasser Hospital and Khan Yunis. As a Princeton student, I have great joy and pride at this community after seeing students walk out and join the encampment. Not only did they join the encampment, but they also joined the global movement of solidarity with the Palestinian people. They recognize the injustice of the genocide in Palestine. Students recognize this injustice like their ancestors did fighting apartheid in South Africa. They recognize that they are part of a long tradition, a global tradition of solidarity with the Palestinian people. Here, I quote the words of the writer James Baldwin. "The children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the globe. And I am beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality. Or, as I am saying, in other words, that we, the elders, are the only models children have. What we see in the children is what they have seen in us, or, more accurately, perhaps, what they see in us." End quote. This board, and as members of this community, we should support these students who recognize the injustice of apartheid, who recognize the injustice of occupation, and who recognize the injustice of genocide against the Palestinian people. I implore this board to recognize the great moral urgency with which these students were acting upon and cease any punishment towards them. As a community, we must recognize the suffering of the Palestinian people and heed their calls for freedom and solidarity as these students did. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, my name's Amy Hughes. I don't have a planned speech, but I do live at College Road West.
Okay.
And I just wanted to speak because I'm not affiliated with Princeton University. I'm just a community member. And I really wanted to thank you very much for allowing the students at your high school to practice their First Amendment speech rights. And to reiterate what everyone else has been saying, that on one side, that it is a great learning opportunity and experience to learn to be an engaged and active member of the public and to speak out against injustice and genocide when you see it. So I wanted to thank you all very much as a community member, not from Princeton University with their agenda, as they're being told that they do. And just to say that we really thank you, and that they were speaking out for justice and equality and peace in the Middle East. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? I'm sorry. You want to speak again? Just keep it brief, please. All right.
And as an educator, what I found quite troubling here has been, sorry, Sher Ali Tareen, Oak Lane. Sher Ali Tareen, Tareen, T for Turkey.
Okay, thank you.
Is the kind of patronizing tone that we've seen in relation to the students who walked out, that these are some very gullible, uneducated, ignorant people who are being used by some kind of a propaganda that was happening at this encampment and so on. You know, these kinds of conceptualizations of the modern nation state of Israel as settler colonial apartheid are very well established positions in the scholarly literature at this point. These are not some fringe opinions. These are not some radical opinions. And to call them radical and to use the conflation of the critique of a modern nation state with hatred against a religious community, in fact, stifles intellectual discussions, conversations. So as an educator, one suggestion that I might have is, why not have a speaker series, an Israel-Palestine speaker series? Invite scholars from different viewpoints, different universities. Let's have a debate. Let's have a conversation about these categories.
Yeah, we would love to. If the
and
university
history and so
wants to
on.
sponsor that, that would be great.
And the final thing I would say is that to think of these as some kind of fringe opinions can only come about if one is primarily occupied with or primarily nourished by a diet of CNN and New York Times. That's not the place to get knowledge. And the last thing I would say is one of the most profound moments that I saw at the encampment, perhaps the most beautiful moments, was that one day, Friday evening, it was raining and pouring, and Muslim students were standing with their umbrellas as the Jewish students were conducting the Shabbat. And then when the Muslim students in the afternoon were conducting their Friday prayers, you had Jewish and other students and faculty making a wall to give privacy to the women who were praying. Those are the kinds of moments that we saw. Yes, there was a moment at which a Hezbollah sign was seen that was immediately removed by the organizers. Min al-Mayya ila al-Mayya, Falastin Arabiya. Arabiya is not Arabic. By the way, Arabic is the language, Arab are the people. So we need some kind of basic knowledge about this issue and not to stifle intellectual discourse and debate by conflating the critique of a modern nation state with religious hatred. That is morally and intellectually indefensible and according to the current scholarly literature. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, is there anyone else who wants to speak at public comment? Anyone? All right, we're closing public comment. Can I get a motion, Q1, approve the consent agenda? Anyone? Adam, second. Betsy? I don't know, you have to put it in my face. It's okay.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Adam Bierman. Yes. Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Eleanor Hubbard.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Consent agenda passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Rob, second. Mara, all in favor? Thank you.